Hi there, welcome to my channel. This is Imaneo, and as you remember, we are implementing a game using Flutter and Flame Game Engine. It is called Flappy Dash. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about the multiplayer topic and to implement some backend functionalities first, and then we are going to implement the logic for the lobby, and then we are going to implement the logic for the actual game. And that's why I think we cannot manage all of them in this episode. So that's why I think we need 3 episodes for this. The first episode, we are going to implement the backend code because I think it's important to know what is happening on the backend side. And then in the next episode, we are going to implement the lobby functionality. So you are gonna see the players that are joined. You will see the countdown. So this is some mock data. This is not the real data. And you can join, you can leave. So we will implement the lobby. And then in the third episode, that I think it is the last episode finally, we will see the game functionality. So players can play together and they can see each other in the game. And yeah, so let's get started. Yeah, as you remember, we are using Nakama. It's a backend for games and it has a lot of features and most of them are real time. For example, it has match, it has chat, it has group and so on and so forth. But today we are going to take a look at the match and the match handler. So basically the match concept is something that players can join, players can leave, player can send a message, players can broadcast a message to the other people and so on and so forth. So there are 2 types of the matches. The first one is relayed multiplayer. So this is not safe. So it works like that the clients can send message to each other and the backend doesn't do anything. It just forwards the message back and forth to the clients, and it can be created using a client, and whenever the last player leaves the match is gonna be ended and it's gonna be destroyed. So yeah, it works like this, that for example, players can say that, okay, I won the game. The other one can say that, okay, I gained 2000 scores, and no one can validate that. But the other one is authoritative multiplayer, and this is something that we are gonna use. It is like that the backend validates everything that is happening in the game. So for example, a player can request to increase the score and backend can validate that, and if the action is valid, backend can broadcast it to others. And with this one, no one can cheat in the game. And it doesn't destroy the match whenever everyone is disconnected from the match. So it keeps the match alive until you want to have it alive. So it's up to you to decide whenever to destroy the match. And yeah, so we are going to use this one. We are going to implement the functionality in the backend. And as you see here, we have some callbacks. So we need to have a match handler, and using a match handler, you can have access to these callbacks. So for example, this is for when the match is created. The moment that the match is created, this function is gonna be called. And then we have match join attempt. So it's a callback that you can validate that if someone can join the match or not. And then we have match join. This is for when a player joined the match. Everything was fine and the player joined. And this one is for a player leaves the match. So for example, we can remove it from the game or we can do whatever we want. And we have match loop. So this is the most important function. We are gonna implement the game logic inside the match loop. So it's gonna be called x times per second, and it's up to you to choose a value. It's called tick rate. So for example, if you say tick rate 5, it means that it's gonna be run every 200 milliseconds, so 5 times in a second. And if you need more tick rate, you can increase it. So it's like a trade-off. It depends on the game that you are building, and you can tune this value. For example, if you are building a tic-tac-toe, XO, it's a very simple game, and I think for that you need to have 5 times or 5 tick rates per second. But if you are going to implement something crazy, you can increase it to 60. So it affects the amount of the matches that are gonna be handled in the same time in your server. So you need to choose this value wisely. And yeah, after that we have match terminate. So this is for when you terminated the match. It is up to you when you want to terminate a match. And we have match signal. And yeah, by the way, I will leave the link in the description and you can take a look at it. Yeah, for example, this is the tick rate, and it say that if you say 10, it means that every 100 milliseconds, the match loop or the game loop is gonna be called. And also we have some OP codes. It is the operation code. So it's an integer value that is contracted between the backend and the clients to send the events back and forth. And you can say that, for example, code 201 is for when you want to jump, and this is the ID or this is the code for your operation or for your event. And yeah, so I'm gonna show you the code that I implemented for the game. So first of all, let me show you this page. So as you see here, we see all the players that are in the game or in the match, and you can decide either to join or not join the match. And then when it starts, you will see the game page and the players can play together. And also when you are in the home page, you don't see anything related to the multiplayer, and you leave the match. If you, for example, if you are here and if you press back, it means that you left the match and you are not gonna play with the players. And yeah, so basically this is the code that I have for the backend. And yeah, so the idea is that we have a match state, and this is a customized state that you can define for your match. And the important point is that we have current phase, and it is an enum. So as you see, we defined an enum for the match, and we have 3 phases for the match. We have waiting for players, that is this page. So this is the state of waiting for players. And we have running. It is when the game is running and the players can jump and move to the game. And we have finished. So this is for when that the countdown of the game is finished and we announce the winners and everything is done with the match. And yeah, so also we have some predefined values here. For example, this is the handler name. So as you remember, we are creating a match handler, and these callbacks are for the match handler with this name. And we have tick rate of 5, and I just used it to see what's going on in the game. If we needed more tick rate, I'm gonna increase it, but I think 5 is good for now. And we have minimum players, so it is a number that we need to have 5 players until the game starts. So for example, if there are 2 players here and the countdown is going to closer to 0, we increase the countdown. We are not going to start the game. And it's a loop. I mean, we increase the time until we have 5 players in the lobby to start the match. And we have base waiting time for players duration, which is 2 minutes. So it means that whenever a match starts, it waits 2 minutes. And when it is 20 seconds left until the match started, we are going to check the current players. And if it is less than 5, we are going to add the 20 seconds to the timer. So it's gonna be increased until we have 5 players in the lobby. And we have match duration, which is 3 minutes. So this is the duration that you can play with each other. And after that, the match is finished. So we have a 10-second padding for the match. Whenever the match is finished, we will wait for 10 seconds. And after that, we are gonna remove the match. And yeah, so basically these are the default values that we have, and we can change them later. Okay, so let's take a look at the match storage that I've created. So we have 3 methods here: add waiting match, remove waiting match, and get waiting matches. So these are the functions that we use to retrieve and update the waiting match. So this is going to be something that everyone can have access to it. For example, if a match is in the waiting phase, everyone can join to the match. And when the waiting phase is finished, it's gonna be in the running phase and no one can join. And then we create a new waiting match. And again, everyone can join in the waiting match. And when it is in running, we create another waiting match and we move this match to the running phase. So this is for handling that. For example, if you add a waiting match, we just add it to the collection of matches. So we have a storage in Nakama, and with the key of waiting matches, we will write the waiting IDs. So we are going to write the match ID to the list of waiting matches. And we also have the remove function. So we get the list of waiting matches and we remove it. So it's here. and then we write the updated waiting matches inside the waiting match list. And also we have a getter for it to get the active waiting matches, and it's going to be called whenever we click on the multiplayer button. So the client is going to get the current waiting match from the backend, and the client can join to the match using the ID, using of the match ID that it has. And for example, if you take a look at the main file, we have a custom RPC function. So it's a function that we can call using our client to get the current waiting match, and it just retrieves the list of waiting matches, and it just returns the first one or the match at index 0 to the client. Yeah, so this way the client can just join the match that is in waiting phase. Yeah, so we have a create main match. So as you see in the initialization, we have create main match, and we just try to check if we have a current waiting match or not. And if we don't have any waiting match, we just create a new one, because if we have a waiting match, we don't need to create a new one, because everyone can see the waiting match and join into that. And after it goes to the running phase, we are going to create a new match. And that's why we have a if check here. And yeah, so when you create a match, you are gonna pass a match handler name, and it is something that we registered here. So we say that, okay, we are gonna have a match handler with these functionalities. So these are the functions that we already have inside the match handler. So for example, match join, match init, match loop. And yeah, so basically these are the callbacks, and this is the state for each individual match. So whenever we have a new match, we have a new set of callbacks, a new state, and so on and so forth. So this is an isolated area for each individual match. And yeah, so let's take a look at the match init function. So I'm gonna open it. For example, when the match is initialized, we are going to create an empty state. For example, match initialized at is the current date time. So this is the date time that, or the timestamp that we created the match, or the match is initialized. And we have the match runs at, which is the current time plus waiting for player's duration, which is 2 minutes. And so we say that, okay, this match is going to be started or run in 2 minutes. And we don't have the match finishes at, it's 0, and we decide to set it whenever the match is started. And the current phase is waiting, so it's obvious we need to wait for the players. And also we have presences and the players. So presences is a list of nkruntime.present. So this is something that's defined in Nakama. This is a list of players or people that are in the match. So it's gonna be updated in real time. And also we have players, so it is a map of player ID to an object. So for example, we can keep track of the is in lobby boolean. So this is something that, for example, when you click on multiplayer, you are gonna join the match but not join in the lobby. So this flag is false, and when you click here, the is in lobby flag is gonna be set to true, and you will see yourself here. So this is the flag that we use for the lobby. And these are some states that we are going to use in the game. So for example, last known X is the position of the player inside the game. We have a score, we have playing state. So if you take a look at the playing state, we have idle. This is for when you see the tap to start text here. For example, if you open here, yeah, this is the idle state. This is the playing state, and this is the died state. And yeah, we keep track of the playing state, and we have the display name. So players can have their own display name. And also here we have user ID, which is the same that we have here as the key, but I just added here to have it directly here. And yeah, so this is the match init callback, and we just created a new state. And we say that if the current match ID is not null, so I don't know why it is nullable, but it is nullable, and we need to have an if check here. And we said if the match ID is not null, add it to the waiting matches. So after that, the next player that wants to join the match can call the function to get the waiting match, and they can join to the match that is running. And here we just return the state that we created. We return the tick rate that is 5 for now. So it means that it's gonna be run 5 times per second, the match loop. And then we have the label. So this is the match init callback. And after that, we have match join attempt. By the way, as you see, we have a lot of parameters here. For example, we have the current state, we have the presences, we have metadata. For example, I think this is something that the player can send when they want to join the match. And yeah, so when someone wants to join the match, the join attempt called, and we can check if we already have the player inside the players. As you see, we just check the presence, that is the user that wants to join the match dot user ID. So we just checked if we have the user ID inside the players. That is fine, we will accept it, and we just return the state. And here we say that otherwise, if the match state is not waiting for players, we are gonna reject it, because we don't allow people to join the game when it is not in the waiting phase. And yeah, so we have a reject message, and we just return the state that we just get from the callback. And otherwise, it means that the match is in the waiting phase and we accept everyone, so there is no limitation. And for example, if we have a maximum amount of the players that can join a match, we can implement a logic here, but for now I think it's okay, we can allow everyone to join the match. And after that, this function is called, so match join. And here we are gonna update the people that join the match. So here we have a list of presences that are joined the match. So sometimes Nakama just bundles or groups the events or the players that want to join the match. So it's not gonna call this function per each player. For example, if 100 players immediately join the match, it's gonna be called for all of them at once. And that's why we have a for loop here, and we just get the account from the presence.user_id, and we just set the display name, and we just set the user ID here, and the playing state is idle by default. The score is 0 and the position is 0. And is in lobby is false. So this is exactly the moment that you open the multiplayer page and you are not joined the lobby yet. And then we just update the presences list. So this is a list of users that are connected to the game or to the match. And here we just broadcast 2 messages to everyone. So as you remember, we have something called OP code. So we just created an enum for it. We have some codes for the match and some for players. And at first, let's take a look at the OP codes for match. For example, 100 range is for match, 100 is match welcome, 101 is match waiting time increased, 102 is match presences update. So this is when someone joins, someone left, or someone disconnected from the game. So we just use this OP code to notify everyone about this event. We have match started. So this is when the countdown ends and the game is going to be started. And we have match finished. So these are the OP codes that we have. And here in the match join, we are going to broadcast 2 messages. The first one is match welcome. So we say welcome to the players that are joined, and we just send the current state of the game. So it's gonna contain the players that are here. It's gonna contain the timestamp of the moment that the game is going to be run. And yeah, so we just send it to the list of presences, not everyone. And again, we just broadcast a message for match presence list update to everyone. So we just notify everyone that, okay, the presence list is updated, please update your state. And yeah, so for example, all the clients can listen to the OP codes and the data that is coming from the server, and they can just listen to it and show something in the client. And yeah, so after that we have match loop. Here we have a switch. We checked if the current phase is waiting for players. We can just resolve the messages. So this is the messages that is coming from the clients, and it contains an OP code. And for example, when a player joined the lobby, we just set the is in lobby flag to true, and we broadcast it to everyone. We say that, okay, a player joined the lobby and this is the new state, and this is the sender. So we can just attach the sender ID to the broadcast event. And if someone updated the display name, again, we just broadcast it to everyone. We say that, okay, match presence is updated, and we just give the new state of the game. And as you see, we just update the display name of the player that requested to update the display name. And it means that if you are joined in the lobby and you are here, you can update your nickname and notify everyone to get the new nickname that you have. And yeah, so this is the messages for the waiting for players phase. And also we have two if check. We check if the match should be started. We check if the date time is larger than the match runs at date time. It means that the countdown is ended, and we need to check if we have enough players or not. And if we have enough players, we can just change the current phase to running, and we can just remove the waiting match from the database that we have. So from now on, no one can join the match anymore because it is running, and we just set the match finishes at using the match runs at plus the match duration. So for example, this is 2 minutes later or 3 minutes later. And we just kick out the players that are not in lobby. So for example, if you clicked on the multiplayer and you see the countdown and you haven't joined the game, you are gonna be kicked out after the game starts because you haven't joined the lobby and it's not your game. You need to wait for the next match. And yeah, so we send the player kicked from lobby to the players that are out of the lobby, and we send the match started event for the players that are in lobby. So we send this message to let them open the game page. And then we return the state, and we have another if check. We say that if the match is going to be started, for example, before 20 seconds, I think. Yeah, we say that if it is around to started and if the players are not enough to start the game, we just add a waiting time and we broadcast it to everyone. So we say that, okay, the players are not enough in this match, in this waiting match, and we are going to get started later, for example, in 20 seconds or 30 seconds or something else. And yeah, so this is for waiting phase. And after that, we are going to go to the running phase. So this is the phase that players can play the game. Yeah, so the first if check is for when the match is finished. So as you remember, we have a timestamp for the match finished at, and we check if now is more than time finished. It means that the game is finished, and we just change the current phase to finished, and we just broadcast it to everyone to say that, okay, the match is finished and no one can do anything. And we just return the state. So it's not going to run this for loop. Everything is finished and you need to wait for 10 seconds. This one, remove match after, and then the match is removed from the system. And yeah, so in the running phase, players can just start the game, players can jump, players can say that the score increased, players can die. For example, when you hit a pipe, you can send the die event. I mean, it is not safe to handle it like this, but it is fine for now. I mean, the client can cheat. They can decide to not send the player died event when they hit the pipe. So this way they can play around the game without losing. But for now it's fine. And in each case we have a logic. For example, when the player started the game, we just change the playing state to playing, and we just set the player position so everyone can see the player using the position that it has, using this one. So the position is gonna be sent to the backend, and we reset the score to 0, and we broadcast the player started to the player that just started the game. So this way we just send back the updated state that we have here. And for player jumped, we need to broadcast it to everyone to jump the dash that they have in the world or in the game. I forgot to add it. It's gonna be here. And we have player escort, so we just increase the score of the player and we broadcast it to everyone. And then we have player died, so when someone hits the pipe, we just change the playing state to died, and we notify it to everyone. And yeah, so this one is for the player is in idle, we just change the playing state, and the player started again. So when you die, you can start again to play. And yeah, so these are the messages that we are going to take a look in the following episodes. And when the match is finished, we just check if the current daytime is more than the time that the match is finished plus the time that we need to wait until the match is finished. We return null, and when you return null, the Nakama is going to destroy the match. So from this moment, the match is not accessible anymore. And yeah, so we have match signal. It is something that the system sends some signals to us. I don't know what is the functionality of this one. And we have match leave. So this is for when a player leaves the match. So we just check if we are in the waiting phase, we just remove the player from the players because we don't care if someone left from the lobby. But if we are in the other phases, we don't remove the player from the players because we need to keep the state of the player to show it whenever the player rejoins the match. So we just need to keep the state in the system, and we just update the presences to remove the people that are left from the match. And we just send the match presences update to everyone, so everyone can update their local state to remove the left players. And we have match terminate. So this function is gonna be called whenever the match is terminated. By the way, we already removed the match in the moment that we switch the phase from waiting to playing. But to have a safe code, we just add it here because it might be in a waiting phase and for a reason the match is terminated. And this way we can just remove it from the database to create a new one for the people that want to join the match. And yeah, so also here you can just add some reporting. For example, you can just save the state of the game, or you can keep track of the events that happened through the game and save them somewhere to just check the replay or something like that here. So this is the callback that is useful for that. And yeah, so I think we are done with this episode. So we just need to call the get waiting match ID when you click on this button, and then after that we have the match ID, and you can join the match. You will receive the welcome event with the state of the game, and then you will see the timestamp the match is gonna started. You can show the countdown here, you can show the players that are joined here, and whenever the timer finished, the game is gonna be switched to the running phase, and you will receive a new event to just open the page, and so on and so forth. So in the next episode we can implement the lobby page, because now we know how the backend works and what are the events. I mean, we need to save the OP codes in the client, and then we can listen to the events to update the players, to update the countdown when the people are not enough to start the game, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next video that we are going to implement the lobby. Bye.